All right, here we go. Orioles finally just released the lineup. I was waiting. Man, it just came out. It's about 2:45 right now. The game starts in an hour and a half. I was like, man, when are they putting out less than an hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes? And finally, lineup comes out. I guess they were waiting to make sure Westberg was healthy enough to play, and he is. So that's great news. Westberg in the lineup, Arias in the lineup. He is in the lineup. So we got no Cowser today, no Mateo. Adley's going to catch. So we shall see. Cole Irvin's pitching. Man, today's gonna be a great game. There's so much going on. This Lucas Gill guy, I said it a couple months ago whenever we faced him that he sucked and he shut us out that day, and then he's been great ever since. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe we'll figure him out today. I'm curious to see exactly what the prop bets will be for Cole Irvin. I'm gonna look at that after I finish recording. But I had a couple things that I really wanted to talk about after last night's game because the game itself was fantastic. I mean, might be the most entertaining game we've had all season. Adley's walk off at home against the Blue Jays a few weeks ago was pretty fun. But man, that game last night had everything, everything. That would have been a devastating game to lose. Just would have been. So I'm glad we pulled it out. Mullins was awesome. I guess he gets the headline, but Povich to me really grew up in that at bat versus Torres. And yeah, a lot of his issues last night were self-inflicted. He's walking all these guys. I don't know, him and Suarez all of a sudden just walking everybody these first two games of the series. But man, he battled out of it. And that one at bat with Torres with the bases loaded in the first inning, and he just kept, he would not give in to Torres. He wouldn't give in. I love his moxie. He's got to put some weight on. That's for sure. I mean, he's going to have an innings limit, so I don't imagine him um, pitching in the postseason as a starter. I don't think that'll happen, but we'll see. But he certainly was, man, he really grew up though last night. Like that's tough to do when you don't have your stuff and you're walking guys left and right. That just feels like it's going to be a disaster. And he got out of it. He got out of it. The bullpen held up for the most part. That was a tough spot for Cano to come in. You know, Stanton, it's first and second, and you got a big lead. So you're trying to throw strikes and see if you get the double play. And Stanton just absolutely destroys it. Not ready to be upset about that from Cano. It happens. Like things are going to happen. But I will say that Jacob Webb has got all the confidence in the world. It has all my confidence. And if you told me right now we needed to get one out and it's a right-handed batter up, I think I'm going Webb over Cano right now. He is, man, Webb has just been really great. So Perez, I don't really blame him, obviously, for yesterday's two infield singles, just crappy hits that turned into two base runners. So we are gonna. I say that to set up my point about what are we gonna do here with our roster. So let me get into that because everyone has opinions, which is fun. That's part of being a fan, and we're also have to lock in your opinion for another July 31st. So we still have 5 weeks before you're have to make your final opinion. So everything's subject to change. But at this point, when I look at the entire team and I look at the goals for this year, I don't think we need to trade for a starter. I know it sucks to not have Bradish, but if you told me that our three starters in October was Burns, Grayson, and then Kramer slash Irvin, and if they want to do four, and they don't want to let Burns pitch on short rest and have those four guys as the rotation, I rather that than trade one of these best prospects this season because I think that the real strength of the Orioles is the fact that we have all of this depth for the injuries. Like when you have the depth for the injuries, that's when it's like, all right, we don't have to use the depth to just trade those guys away for one starting pitcher. The future is super bright. Chase McDermott, I don't know if he's going to get a chance this year, but I am excited about seeing what he can do for us. And obviously, Povich's first couple of starts give us a lot of promise. So I don't want to trade one of our best prospects, whether it's Norby or Stowers, in the middle of this season. Definitely not trading. They're not tradable. Kerstead and Jackson, they're literally not tradable. I don't even think Kobe Mayo is tradable. His injury complicates things. But the two guys that are, that would bring in the biggest return, and let's be honest, we have about 10 to 15 other guys on the roster that I would have a hard time naming off the top of my head who other teams want. Like we have a really, really deep farm system, But the two top guys after Jackson and Kerstead that everybody would want. Sorry about this glare. I was recording later in the afternoon. I just looked at it. Anyway, the two guys that we would trade would be Stowers or Norby, right? Those are the two guys, or Cowser if you put them in that category, but it looks like Cowser's here to stay. So it's Stowers or Norby. I need to know exactly who the starting pitcher is, because if he's not way better than Dean Kramer, I don't want it. I'd rather just go with Kramer and Irvin as my 3 and 4 guys in October and roll with it. What I do want to change is I want to add somebody to the pen. So this is what I would do, and then I'll shut up and we can enjoy the game. But this is what I would do when Kramer comes back: is I would go to a 6-man rotation. I would have obviously Burns and Grayson at the top, and you got Irvin, you got Povich, that's 4, you got Kramer, that's 5, and I keep Suarez in at 6. I do that to protect Grayson almost more than anything. Let's just an extra day off for and Kramer, but more so for Grayson. An extra day off here is okay. Like if he's going to take an extra day to keep that arm nice and fresh, totally fine. We cannot afford any more injuries. Like we've maxed out our injuries in the starting rotation. I think that's fair to say. We cannot have any more. So Burns seems, well adjusted. He's a horse. He's been doing this for 4 or 5 years now. But Grayson hasn't. This is his first full season with a full workload. He was sent down last year. So we got to be conscious of that. So my thoughts would be, if it was my decision, 6-man rotation. Let's keep Suarez had a bad start yesterday. Okay, that's fine. I trust him out there, and I want to protect the bullpen. I don't want to just stick Suarez in there as the long reliever. Anyway, so that's what I would do. I would have the 6-man rotation, and we got Kimbrel in the back end. I wouldn't change that. I don't think we'll find anybody that'll be better than Kimbrel in the 9th inning, besides Batista, and he's just not with us. But they're not going to get somebody better than Kimbrel. What they need to do is get 1, maybe 2 guys that they feel like are better than Cano and Perez. Like that's the barometer right now. With Coulom's injury, somewhat of a blessing in disguise if he's back in September, because then he's just getting a 2-month break, keeps his arm nice and fresh. Not the biggest deal not to have him for a couple of months. But going into the postseason, when everything's super tight and your starter might only give you 5 innings, the bullpen needs an upgrade. It might even need 2 upgrades. And I think the barometer for the upgrade is the guys have to be better than Cano and Perez. At least on par, but preferably better. And you just knock everybody down a spot. And that's the best way to deal with the reality of Craig Kimbrel as the closer. Because look, yesterday was a tough one. I think I saw a stat where he's blown all 4 1-run save opportunities. That's not great, but you're not going to find 10 other guys right this second that I would trust more than Kimbrel at the end of the game in October. So I would, my advice to the fans and just my thoughts in general would be, keep the expectations still low at the trade deadline. I don't think that they're going to try to hit a home run. I don't think they need to hit a home run. I think these injuries suck. It creates, some angst, but it's going to give some other guys some opportunities. And I'd much rather trade Stowers or Norby in the offseason the way they traded Ortiz and DL Hall for Burns than trading these guys at the deadline and getting a starter that's just as good as Dean Kramer, because we don't need that. That's basically what we have. We have Kramer, we have Irvin, and Suarez. Like, if you tell me we're trading for a starter, he needs to be way better than Dean Kramer. And I like Dean Kramer. I like Cole Irvin. I still love Albert Suarez. Like, cost me some money the other night, made me look like a goofball, but it happens. I still like Suarez a lot in that spot. So that's my 2 cents here after digesting this Bradish injury. At the Means and the Wells injury, I had a week or so to think about it. But once Bradish was done, I think everybody's knee-jerk reaction is, who are we going to trade for? Who are we going to trade for? But if you really, really think about it and you go deeper into it, I don't think there's going to be too many starting pitchers that will be way better, if at all any better, than Dean Kramer. So I'm happy to take Norby and Stowers, and if the best, the guy on Oakland is fantastic, but there's a couple other guys, and we'll find out who will be available in the next month. But yeah, if we have to flip one of those guys for an elite reliever, like the Andrew Miller trade that we made in, 2014, when yeah, I guess that was 2014 when the stupid Royals got us. That was a game changing trade. You know, if you're going to bring in somebody like that who can be the setup guy to Kimbrel slash might even be more effective than Kimbrel in certain situations, I'm all for it. But if the trade's not there, I still I like the team. I like the team a lot. It just sucks because you feel bad for the individuals, but I guess it's like a weird feeling. As soon as Means got hurt and Wells and Bradish, like my thought wasn't like, oh, the season's over with. It's just, man, why is I don't say the karma, but like why is that happening to them? You know, especially Means. That one's really tough because if you've been a fan of the Orioles for during the terrible years, the only thing to look forward to was a John Means start. I used to give out gambling when I was giving out gambling advice. I had a client down in Florida. He knew I was a huge Orioles fan, and he would beat me to the text every fifth day. It's like, I know we're taking Means, Orioles money line, first 5 innings. It's like, yep, that's so I really miss Means. That sucks. And Bradish, I don't know. I don't know these guys personally. I watch the interviews just like you guys, and you can read some things from time to time, but it's hard to say a bad word about Bradish. He never, he's never negative on the mound. He always handles himself the right way. He's throwing 99 against the Phillies, and then it's just all over. It's just crazy. So hopefully they get back next year, but Elias has to build this roster out without him. So there's a lot of decisions that have to be made. And now people are going to try to take advantage of Elias because it's like, oh, you have to get a starter. You have to get a starter. You sure you don't want to trade Kerstead? You sure you don't want to trade Jackson? It's like you are not getting those guys no matter what. So we'll see what they do. But I bet, yeah, I don't say my life savings on it, but there's no way Kerstead and Jackson are getting traded. It's just not going to happen. So, all right, last piece before we get out of here. I don't, I really try not to just like ramble about negative things for no reason, but maybe somebody can send me a message and I'm missing something. Maybe the Orioles fans do it, but the Yankee fans got to be the biggest assholes. I mean, first of all, what are they doing? They want to keep throwing at Gunnar. It's making me just want to brawl today. And Cole Irvin's the wrong guy for a brawl because he's not going to throw at anybody. But if Grayson was pitching today, I don't know if you guys saw his facial expression when they hit Gunnar. Grayson coming in, throwing 95 right at somebody's head to start the game. And that's the energy I feel like because the fans are disgusting. They're cheering for it, which is just disgusting. I don't even know what the hell's going on with them, but we won that game because they hit Gunnar. That gave us that fifth run. So it's bad karma. We were up 4-1 in the seventh inning with one out. And the guy hits Gunnar, almost hit him right in the face. Gunnar ends up scoring, and that gives us our fifth run, which obviously we needed because the Yankees tied it up and pushed us to extra innings. But man, I have a feeling today it's going to get a little feisty because the Yankees and Kevin Brown on the on the broadcast last night was saying, I can't believe there was no warnings. Like, what the fuck? Like, you want there to be a fight. I mean, at some point, big Brian Baker in there in the bullpen, he'll throw at somebody's head. That'll be no problem. Like, they got a couple guys on there that if Big Mike was on the team, he'd be throwing at somebody's head. Like, you're going to keep throwing the ball at Gunner's head like that, we're going to have a problem. So I don't know what's going to happen this afternoon, but I have a feeling tensions are going to be super duper high. Westberg's back out there. Judge is in the lineup. And fuck the Verdugo guy, too. I don't know who he was talking to the other night, but man, this Yankees team is really, really easy to root against between Verdugo and Soto. And this Volpe guy gets a hit every time he's up. He's getting on my damn nerves. I really want to win this game. All right, I'm going to look at the props. I'll send out my picks in a second. And I guess that's it. I feel like I might be missing something, but whatever. I'll find that out tomorrow. All right, good luck, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.